Joining us now, national political reporter for Axios, Jonathan Swan. Jonathan, I wanted you on specifically because you seem to be an equal opportunity questioner, which is sort of what I'm getting at. And like any mediocre lawyer, I'm going to play a clip of you proving my point, and then I want to get you to respond on the other side.
I'm very worried about the debt, and I'm worried about it under Trump. Now, to be fair, Trump didn't campaign on cutting the debt.
He did. He said he was going to eliminate the national debt in 8 years.
He didn't run principally on reining in spending and deficit and debt. That's not what he promised to do. We had real differences between it, and you know what, the voters made a decision.
I will remind you, he did promise to eliminate the national debt.
But let me give another.
Again, I think that everyone's like, oh my God, we're going to just release everybody. That's not what I'm saying. Yeah, but did you see how many people are mentally ill that are in prison right now?
No, I know, but the act that you endorsed actually says release everyone.
But in 10 years, but think about it, who will release?
But there are like human traffickers.
Oh, I know.
Child sex.
You know, Jonathan, I would encourage people to go look at the entirety of both of those interviews and all the other interviews you've done, because you seem to be an equal opportunity questioner. But my experience was you would be a lonely person, at least the 8 years that I was in D.C., so I'm going to give you a chance to tell me that I am wrong, that all reporters are like that and show the same firm and vigor when they're questioning people, no matter who it is.
Well, thank you, Troy. I appreciate you saying that about me and what I try to do with my interviewing. Look, I can only speak for myself. I'm not some spokesman for the media, but what I'll say is one of the challenges, and it's becoming more and more of a challenge, is politicians themselves. Very few of them will do what Ted Cruz and Rashida Tlaib did, which is sit down with someone that they're not going to expect to have softballs, but actually that could be a tough interview. Sit down and really submit themselves to, what used to happen, frankly, all the time, which was politicians of both parties sitting down and submitting themselves to tough questions. One of the issues, and again, I'm not making some industry-wide excuse here, but I do think it's an important dynamic to bear in mind. One of the issues is with the proliferation of media that's happened since the internet basically blew up our industry. You now have, if you are someone who believes in X, Y, Z, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, pretty much any ideological variety, you can go and sit down with someone who is simpatico to you, who is maybe even a supporter, frankly, and you can enjoy a very comfortable session. And that is, all the incentives point towards that. So I actually found, we've just finished a sort of a 3-year run of these interviews. It was becoming harder and harder to get people to sit down. And I don't think I'm unfair. I think I really, really do the research and was polite and respectful and asked the questions. But it actually really was the minority that were willing to do what Ted Cruz and Rashida Tlaib did there, which is sit down and answer the questions.
Well, you raise a fascinating point. Maybe there is not a market for being an equal opportunity questioner. I mean, maybe the audience doesn't want to see that. I mean, I love seeing well-constructed follow-up questions. I mean, it appeared to me that you had actually read the bill and you were actually familiar with President Trump's campaign promises. So therefore, you ask good follow-up questions. And maybe politicians just say, you know what, I don't want any part of Jonathan Swan anymore. I'm going to go somewhere else.
One of the luxuries we had, and again, it's not everyone doesn't get this, but it's almost old-fashioned. We had a team of researchers, producers that worked with me and really spent the time preparing it. And we also had a bit more time, in some of these interviews. Like with Donald Trump, when I interviewed President Trump last year, we ran the interview at 36 minutes. And that's, as you know, that's pretty rare. Usually it's sort of sliced down to 6 minutes or something. So, it's almost an old-fashioned thing. There's a woman I really admire who did a series of interviews in the 1970s. Her name's Oriana Fallaci, and she used to go and sit down with heads of state. She sat down with the Ayatollah, with the leader of China, whatever, and she would just give it to all of them. But they were these really well-researched, deep, kind of long interviews. And I don't know whether there's a commercial market for that. I certainly see some excellent interviewers on both American television, British television, whatever. But, you know, it is hard to get the space and also the participation to do that kind of an interview.
Yep. You raised another good, and I'd love to have you back because you're right. This amount of time is not sufficient. But there's whether or not there's a market, and then there's the time. These issues are complicated, and they can't be resolved with tweets.
Yeah.
And sometimes cross-examination is the best way to elucidate the truth. So I'd love to have you back. But my point was, tough questions can be asked of both sides. And if you're looking for someone that does it, Jonathan Swan does it. So thank you for joining us, Jonathan.
Thank you, Trey. Appreciate it.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.